Welcome to the Open to Hope Show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley, with my daughter and co-host,
Dr. Heidi Horsley.
Well, Heidi, we've got a really neat show today because we're going to be talking about living brightly and pregnancy and baby loss, how you live brightly after that, and how our guest has done that. And we're going to give you some amazing resources for yourself and for friends who've had a pregnancy or baby loss.
We're going to talk about pregnancy and baby loss. And our guest is April Boyd. April is a psychotherapist, and I think she was inspired to start and create the Loss and Love Project out of her own loss. She had a daughter that died. And today she supports women after loss of a baby or pregnancy, and she's got an incredible website and a lot of amazing material that is accessible 24/7 to anyone out there that struggles with these kind of losses. So welcome to the show, April.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really glad to be here with you.
It's so wonderful to have you on, and I just love the things you're doing to support people who've had a pregnancy or baby loss. Now, your little baby died at one day?
She did, yeah. So this is kind of really how I got into the work that I do. So I had been a private practice therapist and had been working in the field of social work and therapy for about a decade. And I had a healthy pregnancy. Everything was fine. So it really came completely by full surprise when my little girl passed away.
Wow.
She was only 8 hours old. To this day, no one's really been able to kind of fully explain, what happened or why. And from that point there, I really just learned firsthand how to survive this life after loss. And I really had to kind of walk my talk of, I had been working in this field of helping people through all kinds of trauma and tragedy and change. But I really had to live it. And I think, it was funny because at that time, I remember people saying to me, in some ways you're going to be able to get through this, pretty well, because this is the work that you do. And I remember at that time just wanting to laugh out loud because I was just, thinking I get good intention there, but that's also ridiculous. I had not been prepared. There's no such thing as being prepared to or trained to survive the loss of your child.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's been funny as time has gone on because I've come to realize in some ways there's been some pieces of truth in what that person had said, but not necessarily in the way that you might think, right? I mean, I certainly knew what kind of coping strategies to do and all of that kind of stuff, and all things you're supposed to do. But I think one of the things that my work had really taught me and my clients had taught me that I was so grateful for was I knew how huge this was. I knew that this was the before or after moment in my life. I knew that I was going to be changed by this. And I think, that's what my work had taught me by, having the privilege of intersecting with so many people on the tragedies in their life, that I knew to really stop and give this my full attention, right? And really just make my healing my priority for a long time, which is what I did.
I love what you just said. Stop and pay full attention.
This does bring up a lot of stuff for me because it is interesting how when losses happen to us, we have to think, okay, what are we telling other people to do? And you can read all the time about pain and suffering after the death of a family member, but until you've experienced it, you really don't get the depth of what clients are going through. You finally say, wow, I get it. I understand what it's like to not know how you're going to survive. I mean, when my brother died, I absolutely said, who am I without him in my life? What do I do? Where do I go? I didn't even know how to function. So I think it gives us a whole nother, it gives us even that much more insight into the experience of loss.
I remember thinking I had, because I was working on a surgical unit and had worked with a lot of death and dying. And I remember thinking, I've got a roadmap. I know where I'm going, but I still took the trip.
I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got the roadmap, but I still have no shoes on. It's dark out. I don't know where I'm going. It's scary here, right? That was
Right,
kind of
exactly. You still take the trip. So tell us
mhm.
about your what you've done. Your
So my hope for the Love and Loss Project was I really just wanted to share some of the things that I found was working for me and working for some of the other people I was supporting. And I just wanted to make that available to really as many people as possible,
Mhm.
because I certainly was shocked to discover firsthand how incredibly isolating, how incredibly disorienting, and just the devastation of this. And so I really wanted the Love and Loss Project to serve as this landing place that
Mhm.
people could come to really just know that they're not alone, but also get some really practical things. And I really believe in the idea that, you know, if you are listening to this, you know full well, right? If you've experienced loss in your life, you know that there's nothing that's going to take the pain of what you're going through away. But I really wanted to be able to create things that I felt would make the pain a little bit easier to get through. And that would really also give people this acknowledgement
Mhm.
and and validation in a way that you deserve to do this. You need to do this, and this is so worthy of your care and time. And I
So,
think
so if I come to your site and I say I just had a pregnancy loss or my baby died, what am I going to find?
there's a few things on there. So one is the Baby Loss Survival Guide, which is a combination of videos and workbooks that really people can do just at their own pace and just soak up that little bit of guidance bit by bit and really bite-sized kind of ways of moving through some of this. And the first module of that, for instance, is helping guide people through a process of getting really clear on what is your reason for surviving this. And because for me, that was, I think, one of the things that made a really big difference for me is I was able to really know what my reason was returning to life, right? And so that is really the
What
beginning
was your
step of that.
reason?
My reason was it was really strange in a way because it just hit me the one day. I'd gone through this period where, you know, and I think we all kind of relate to this, that it was just black. It was just black and empty. And we're in that limbo state where you're kind of not quite alive, but not quite dead. If I stay in this dark, lifeless place, the story that will be told about my little girl and my circle of friends and family will be that April was fine until Nora happened,
Mhm.
until my daughter was born. And that just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, you know, there are so many things that I am not going to get to do for her. There are so many things that I'm not going to get to experience or parent for her as my child. But I can protect her from that one thing. I can protect her from, you know, with really well intended circles of friendly friends and family. I do not want my daughter to be blamed for the fact that her mom's now a hot mess. I do not want to put that on her. So that was kind of that's what I committed to. I said, okay, I don't know how, right? At that point, you know, it didn't come with a sense of confidence or even a whole lot of optimism at that point. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew
So,
that I
but you were
needed.
going to celebrate her life, it sounds like.
Yeah. So my goal in that was to create a legacy of love for her.
Ah, I love it. A legacy of love. That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love it. And you know, in creating a legacy of love for Nora, and in creating this project, you're also validating and acknowledging not only everybody else's losses but your own. Because
Yes.
I mean, I've heard so many things, as I'm sure you have, when people have pregnancy losses or loss of babies, things like, well, you didn't really know them. Well, at least they were only, you know, here for a few hours. Well, at least you can get pregnant. Well, you can have other kids. Well, you're young. I mean, all these things that are not helpful. In fact, they're insulting, and they really do minimize what we've had. And like you said, you did know Nora. You had 9 months with her, and you not only grieved her loss, but you grieved the future. everything that you weren't going to have in the future. So I love that you created this positive place and space for her to be remembered and pay tribute and to help other people.
With the baby loss survival guide, you can really do it over as many times as you need to. I've had women that, send me an email and say, you know what, I want to redo the whole thing again. You're like, it's all just sitting right there for you. So you can go back anytime you want to. And we all know that there's also just those times where you really do need some space and to move through things really slowly. And so it just is there and available for whenever you want to go and just click that button and connect with me in that way and receive some of my support and strategies and ideas for you to help you through this. That's just sitting there, right, on your computer or on your phone. Because that was really my hope, is that I really knew what those kind of 3 a.m. in the morning moments were like, right, where you just, when you need it, you need it. And the other thing that I have that I also, that I love that's on my site is actually it's a free 2-week healing guided experience. And so what that is people can just sign up for that or direct their friends there. And it doesn't cost anything. It's just every day I deliver a video and a little bit of support to people's inbox. Every day it just kind of gets mailed to them directly. So one of the things that I encourage people to do, that if they are already seeing a therapist that they've got a great connection with, or if they're already part of a group, some of the women that I support and do this program will kind of just take the tools in to and share with their therapist. Here's what I'm working on. Here's what I'm doing, just to make sure that it really goes with flow. But everything I'm offering is just, it's really gentle and it's really practical. So my hope and goal was that it would just really integrate with anything else that people are doing.
Heidi, I love that you could take it in. Wouldn't you love somebody to come in with some ideas who's kind of self-energizing?
Absolutely. And I think it's healthy for them, because I think after a loss, you feel victimized. You feel like something's been done to you. You feel very disempowered. And to have some concrete thing that you can work on is very empowering.
I think grief therapy is a little different than some other psychotherapy, because the silence is, in psychotherapy, oftentimes you're silent and wait till the client brings it up. But people want some answers when they've had a loss. I mean, they want somebody to really hold their hand. They say walk with your client, but I think sometimes with a loss, they want you to symbolically really be connected and talking to them. I don't know. That's my thought.
Yeah, I think of the idea of bringing a flashlight, right? That when you're in this dark, awful place and you can't see the next step before you, it's nice to have somebody that's been there before, right? It might be a slightly different road and different experience of that. But I kind of think of it as, you're kind of just showing up with a flashlight and some snacks, being like, all right, do you need me here beside you here today?
I love that analogy. Flashlight and some snacks. Well, listen, you certainly do that. And I would like you to tell people how to find your site. And also, it seems like it would be a great thing to give a friend who'd had a miscarriage or whatever, your program.
Yeah, I honestly feel like that's one of the most useful things that people can do when they have a friend or a family member who's gone through something like this, is really just send them a link, right? That's just because often during that time, people don't have the energy, to be able to kind of go and do all of that digging that it takes to even know what your options are. So I think that's a really kind and useful gesture to just send them the link to the free program, even that they can sign up for.
All right. Well, tell us how we find you.
So I'm in a few different places. So my website is at lovelossproject.com. I also have a Facebook group that people can join and connect with other women who are also walking the same walk that they are. And I'm on Instagram as well. And I do have free monthly retreats, virtual retreats. So I do create these workshops once a month that people can come and listen in on, just kind of cozy up with their slippers and a cup of tea and receive some support with me that way too.
How great. Virtual retreats. I love it. Well, you are the new woman, and thank you for bringing all of these wonderful resources. And thank you for bringing the spirit that you've brought. And I know that you do a lot in Nora's name and keeping her spirit alive. And thank you so much for showing. And you certainly do live brightly.
Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity to share her story and to talk with you.
Thanks, April. And I agree with my mom. And I love that people can find you and they don't even have to get out of bed to do it, because grief takes a toll on us and you're there for them 24/7 to give them hope. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice talking with you.
And thanks everybody for watching our show today. And Heidi and I always want to remind you that if you've lost hope, please visit us at Open to Hope and lean on ours until you find your own. And God bless.